Hey guys, Dave Pearson here, Regional Educator for L'Oreal Professional. How many of you today are doing baby lights in your salon as a service? I know they're really popular right now, but did you know there's an express way to get big bang with a little bit of work? And that's what we're going to talk about today. One of the things I also want to just share with you in trying to do some research on what is a baby light exactly, right? The strongest definition I could find was trying to achieve that sun-kissed look in our hair that we used to have as children. Mother Nature gave us beautiful highlights when we were kids, and we have spent many years trying to replicate that. And with baby lights as a technique, we can now achieve that. So what are baby lights? Baby lights are microweaved sections of highlighting that are applied back to back. So there is no space, there is no dimensional save between foils, right? So you're not leaving out a section between your different foils, which we'll walk through that technique today. Also, it's about placement. So with baby lights, it does take a lot more work because you are doing much more fine weave work, you're doing more back-to-back foils, so a full head of baby lights would take quite a lot of time, which is going to cost your guests quite a lot of money. Not necessarily a bad thing when trying to improve the price of your ticket, but we're really focused on express services right now, and so I'm coming up with a way that can just help you work through a baby light service faster as an express service. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through applying baby lights diagonal back right to the mastoid process. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to alternate horizontal and diagonal back. Horizontal, diagonal back. Horizontal, diagonal back. What that's going to give me is a lot of brightness here and a lot of brightness up top. I'm going to demonstrate on this side, but you would repeat that same process over here. You're going to probably, your guest is probably going to want like a big shock of blonde here. Well, you know, in the industry we like to call it a money piece. Then we're gonna also go back to the diagonal backs and then start to work on horizontal sections here, diagonal back sections, horizontal, diagonal back. So that's gonna be my pattern today. I am going to be using Multitechniques powder. I'm using 30 volume Magi Creme. And this is what it looks like mixed. So this ratio is a 1-to-2 mix ratio, which I find is perfect for highlighting. Let's get to it. So what I like to do is I just like to smooth out the hair. I have a couple of reminiscent highlights here, which we can work with, right? So normally what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and isolate her hairline, right? Everything behind that, I'm gonna just smooth and pin out of the way. Now I have the first section that I'm gonna be working with. Right? It's a little thick, so I am gonna go ahead and break it down into subsections, right? So the first one is going to be this tiny little hairline right here. So I'm gonna take a nice fine slice out of that, take this section, pin that back out of the way. This is going to be my first baby light. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to gently tilt her head just a little bit, smooth this out. Then you're going to take your comb. I love a wire tipped comb for this. And then normally when you're weaving, you take, you weave it in and out. You end up with some sections that you drop down and you leave out, which is what we're going to do as well. But then you're left with some fine sections if you're doing a finer weave. If you were doing a chunkier weave, you'd have chunkier sections left behind and chunkier sections left in your hand. But we're going to be doing micro weaves, so we're actually going to have very little hair that's dropped off because these micro weaves retain quite a bit of hair because we want maximum brightness. So I've actually dropped out this, but I've retained much more. So I'm going to just take my foil Keep that nice and taut. Fold the foil over my comb and tuck this in. I'm going to take my Multitechniques powder 8, start to apply. Now, the moment I hit the lightener on the foil, I don't go right to the root. Right? I start a little ways down. What I'm looking for is saturation. I want that hair to adhere to the foil, which allows me to let it loose. And then I can go ahead and work on completely saturating this section that I'm working on. All right, saturation with Babylights is key. You want it 100% saturated. If you have any ends that are longer than the foil, you just curl those up back into the foil and then make sure that those are adequately saturated as well. All right, now I'm going to take over. I did put a little bit excess of lightener here on my foil right near the top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and feather that lightener that I put on a little heavy, because I knew I was going to feather it up to the root. Then I'm going to go ahead and close up my foil. I like to work neat. All right. Working neat provides you with neat results. Okay. Since I'm working right by her face, I am just going to tilt this side back. Right, I'm just going to tuck it back so it's not less resting on her cheek. All right, so our first Babylight is done. Now I'm going to drop this section again. Like I said, I'm not going to slice out a section and leave it behind to take another piece from here. I'm actually going to be using this section as my next foil. So their foils are truly back to back. So again, I am going to microwave this. Again, not a lot of hair left behind, a lot of hair left in my hand. So I'm going to do diagonal back sections of this until I get to right behind the ear, right behind the mastoid process. Tuck this in. Now, on a human, you're going to be able to get really tight to her scalp because the scalp really flexes with you, so it gives you a little bit of give. On Ellie here, her scalp is made of plastic, so it doesn't flex, so getting right to the scalp is sometimes a little bit difficult. So when you're working on a mannequin, it's going to be a little off of the scalp area. All right, again, just repeating my saturation of that section, swirling those ends back up. And then taking some leftover lightener, feathering it up. That way you're not getting any harsh lines of demarcation. We're going to go ahead and tuck that one away. All right, and again, I'm going to just fold this over. This allows my guest to be able to read a magazine, look at her phone. Again, one more diagonal back section, that's really fine. Taking that, pinning it back. I'm going to repeat this pattern until I can incorporate up here from the temple down. And then we're going to be moving on to the alternating horizontal diagonal back sectioning. And we're back. So I finished up the section. So I did 3 horizontal foils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 diagonal back foils. This is going to be an amazing looking baby light. Multitechniques Power 8 will give us up to 8 levels of lift. It can process up to 50 minutes. So I'm going to keep my eye on this to see how she's lifting, and I'm going to try and see if get her as light as I can, and then if I need to, I'll tone her with some D-light.